A harsh winter morning, an old train heading towards Russia. The carriage is cold, people are tired, nobody trusts anyone. And there is a strange man sitting by the window, Prince Lev Nikolaevich Myshkin. At first glance, he seems like an ordinary person, even a little pitiful. His coat is old. He has nothing but a tiny bundle. But upon closer inspection, something is noticeable. There is a calmness on his man's face that other people don't have. Because he doesn't try to prove himself. Myshkin had been living in Switzerland for years, in a sanatorium. The reason? Epileptic seizures. Society was an unsuitable place for him. People were afraid of him. They saw him as incomplete, and they had slowly punished him out of life. But Dostoevsky does something very important here. He doesn't just write Myshkin as a sick man. On the contrary, he writes as if he has been able to preserve his soul because he has remained isolated from society. Because throughout the novel, the question of who is truly sick will be constantly raised. Myshkin or the people around him. Someone else is sitting opposite him. Parfyon Rogozhin. From the very first second, he feels dangerous. There is suppressed anger on his face. He has recently inherited a large fortune. But even that, fortune hasn't calmed him. Because some people's problem isn't money. It is the emptiness inside them. After a while, Rogozhin starts talking. And the subject turns to a woman, Nastasya Filippovna. Rogozhin's voice changes. The man who is tense even when speaking normally, trembles when he says her name. The moment I saw her, I was ruined. There is nothing romantic in this sentence, more like a person describing their own end. Rogozhin continues to tell the story. He talks about Nastasya's beauty, how people change around her, how he can give up everything for her. And Myshkin listens silently. Because Myshkin's most distinctive characteristic is this, he doesn't judge people, he tries to understand them. That's why even Rogozhin opens up to him. At one point, Rogozhin looks at Myshkin and asks, "What kind of person are you, Prince? You are unlike anyone else." And Myshkin calmly replies, "I trust people." Here Dostoevsky reveals the fate of the novel in a single sentence. Because this world will be very cruel to someone who trusts people. When Myshkin arrives in Petersburg, he doesn't just arrive in a city. He enters a world where people constantly measure each other. Status, money, surname, reputation. Everyone tries to look presentable. And in this world, Myshkin stands out almost like a stranger. His first stop, General Yepanchin's house, because he is considered a distant relative. But even upon entering the house, it is clear how people look at him. His clothes, his speech, his poverty. Because society first judges a person by their appearance. The general initially doesn't take him seriously. Because Myshkin doesn't seem like a strong person. But he soon begins to be surprised. Because Myshkin's speech is different, not artificial. Especially in one scene, when he talks about the death penalty, everyone in room falls silent. Myshkin says, "A few minutes before dying, a person truly feels the value of life for the first time." The scene is very important because it's not just Myshkin speaking here. It's Fyodor Dostoevsky himself. Dostoevsky was actually sentenced to death. He was pardoned at the moment he was to be executed by firing squad. Therefore, he didn't just imagine the fear of death. He had lived it. Myshkin continues, "Perhaps people don't know how to live." And the people in the room become uncomfortable. Because for the first time, someone is speaking honestly, not for show, not to appear impressive, because he truly feels it. Meanwhile, the general's daughters also begin to show interest in Myshkin, especially Aglaya Yepanchina. Aglaya is different from the others, intelligent, proud, and she likes to see people's weaknesses, but she has difficulty understanding Myshkin, because Myshkin has no calculations in him. And people generally cannot understand those who are not calculating. One day, while Aglaya is secretly watching him, he feels this. The man is either completely stupid or more honest than everyone else in the room. And here the title of the novel gains meaning again, The Idiot. Because Dostoevsky constantly whispers this question, is naivety really stupidity, or is it something the modern world has forgotten? And the real center of the novel begins here. The night in Nastasya's house. Dostoevsky writes this section almost like a play. A closed room, people full of tension, and long conversations where everyone is watching each other. When Nastasya appears, everyone's attitude changes, because even her beauty is not peaceful. People both admire and fear her when they look at her, because there is a soul in her that is close to self-destruction. That night another character gains importance. Gavrila Ardilanovich Ivolgin, that is Ganya, ambitious, someone who wants to rise. He wants to marry Nastasya, not for love, but for money and status. And Nastasya is aware of this. That's why she plays with him. She humiliates him. She tests him. Dostoevsky doesn't portray Ganya as a bad person here. He portrays him as weak. And that's much more disturbing. Because Ganya's ambition is familiar. He wants to rise above others. He ashamed of his poverty. He afraid of looking small. So actually, he is normal person. Meanwhile, Nastasya is watching everyone. Sometimes she smiles. Sometimes she mocks. Sometimes she becomes completely silent. Because she can see the true intentions of everyone in the room. Some desire her. Some despise her. Some wants to use her. And she no longer trusts people. Then for the first time, she has a long conversation with Myshkin. Prince Lev Nikolaevich Myshkin doesn't look at her like the others. This makes Nastasya uneasy, because the look she is used to is desire. But there is something else in Myshkin, compassion. Suddenly Myshkin says, "You are not actually a bad person." The room falls silent, because this sentence is one of the most foreign things Nastasya has ever heard in her life. People judged for her years, labeled her, used her. But for the first time, someone is trying to understand her. And right time, Nastasya's mask falls for a short time. Because sometimes a person is most afraid when they are truly seen. And Dostoevsky leaves a very difficult question here. If a person cannot forgive themselves, can someone else's love save them? As the night progresses, the atmosphere becomes heavy. It's as if everyone senses the approaching disaster. And just then, the door opens. Patron Rogozhin enters with his men, and with a large bag of money in his hand. Everyone in the room falls silent, because with Rogozhin's arrival, everything changes. The truth beneath the conversation is now revealed. Money, desire, the desire possesses. Rogozhin puts the money on the table and looks at Nastasya. There is no love in his gaze. There is obsession. Come with me. This moment is very important because Rogozhin sees Nastasya not as a human being, but as something to be possessed. But what is frightening is this: Nastasya is used to this, because people have looked at her like this her whole life. And then comes the most unforgettable scene of the novel. Nastasya takes the money in her hand. He goes to the fireplace. He pauses for a moment. Everyone watches her. And then he throws the money into the fire. The flames rise. No one can move. Because at that moment, it's not just the money that burns. Everyone's mask in the room burns. Then Nastasya turns her eyes to Ganya. Go and take it if you want. That's when the whole room freezes. Because it's no longer about money. It's about human dignity. Ganya can't move. He is humiliated. But what's interesting is, even the reader feels ashamed on his behalf. Because Dostoevsky doesn't write his characters like bad caricatures. He shows their weakness. And when a person sees their own weakness, they feel uncomfortable. And at that moment, Prince Lev Nikolaevich Myshkin behaves differently again. While everyone is focused on the money, he only feels sorry for Nastasya, because he sees not anger under what she did, but self-hatred. And here Dostoevsky reveals one of the darkest ideas of the novel. Sometimes when a person feels worthless, they start to burn their life with their own hands. At the end of the night, Nastasya leaves everything and goes with Rogozhin. Why? Because she doesn't consider herself worthy of happiness. The peace that Myshkins offer her seems unreal to her. And here the main idea of the novel begins to grow. Sometimes a person runs away the person who loves them. Prince Lev Nikolaevich Myshkin begins to visit the Yapanchin family's house more often. And over time, everyone in the house accepts that he is different. But this admiration is not exactly comfortable, because Myshkin is not someone people are used to. He doesn't become part of a game. He doesn't sell himself. He doesn't try to appear strong by despising people. And this especially attracts Aglaya Yapanchin's attention. Aglaya is one of the most complex characters in the novel. At first, she only seems like a proud and cynical person. But in reality, she too is uncomfortable with the society she lives in. Everyone around her seems the same. Calculating people, acting people, people chasing power. Myshkin, however, is something else, as if he came from another era. One day, Aglaya looks at Myshkin and says mockingly, "Are you really like that, or are you just acting?" Because her biggest problem is this: she can't believe that a pure person can really exist. And actually, this isn't just Aglaya's problem, the whole novel's problem. Dostoevsky keeps replying the same question. If we met someone completely honest, would we believe them? Or would we think they were stupid? Aglaya gradually begins to get closer to Myshkin. But this isn't a normal love story, because Aglaya both loves Myshkin and is angry at him. Why? Because Myshkin can approach everyone with the same compassion, and Aglaya can't stand that. He wants to be special. But Myshkin's love is not like the love of normal people. He doesn't possess. He only tries to understand. In one scene, Aglaya talks about Don Quixote. And in fact, she secretly describes Myshkin, because Don Quixote is also a character who remains too naive in the real world, well-meaning, tragic, and incompatible with the rules of this world. Dostoevsky does this consciously, because Myshkin is not an ideal human lost in the modern world, because ideal humans can they live in real life. The novel gradually begins to revolve around this question, and just when everything seems to be calming down, the past returns, because Nastasya Filippovna is still there, and Myshkin cannot forget her, because where the greatest conflict of the novel begins. What Aglaya represents: order, hope, future. What Nastasya represents: trauma, destruction, guilt. And Myshkin begins to be torn between two worlds. When Nastasya reappears, the atmosphere of the novel changes, because peace doesn't last long where she is. Dostoevsky doesn't write Nastasya as a classic tragic woman. Her biggest problem is no longer what others do to her. The real problem is how she looks at herself. At a certain point, a person begins to believe what they hear about themselves. And Nastasya now truly believes, "I'm a ruined person." That's why, as Myshkin approaches her, Nastasya withdraws, because Myshkin's love doesn't comfort her, it frightens her. If a person has felt worthless their whole life, true compassion sometimes hurts. Because a person asks themselves, if I am truly worthy of being loved, why has my whole life been like this? In one scene, Nastasya suddenly gets angry and shouts, "Don't try to save me." This sentence is very important, because Dostoevsky shows here some people doesn't just suffer. They form their identities through suffering, and healing feels like losing themselves to them. Myshkin still believes he can save her, but he is slowly beginning to wear down, because trying to understand everyone is a very heavy burden. Throughout the novel, Myshkin's most tragic aspect is this: he sees the good in people. But people don't always transform into that goodness. Meanwhile, Parfyon Rogozhin begins to darken even more. A strange bond forms between him and Myshkin in particular. They seem to hate each other, but at the same time they understand each other, because they both revolve around the same woman. But their love is completely different. Myshkin wants to save her. Rogozhin wants to possess her. And here Dostoevsky juxtaposes the two faces of life, compassion and obsession. After this part of the novel, everything begins to weigh heavily, because now everyone senses the approaching catastrophe, especially Myshkin. One day, while walking with Rogozhin, Myshkin looks into his eyes, and for a moment he is afraid, because for the first time he sees a real sense of death within him. Dostoevsky doesn't write this explicitly, but he makes you feel it. Rogozhin is no longer just a jealous person. The obsession within him is growing and turning into something destructive. Meanwhile, an invisible war begins between Aglaya and Nastasya, because both of them want Myshkin in different ways. Aglaya wants to Myshkin to live a normal life. Nastasya, on the other hand, believes that if she gets close to him, she will ruin him too. And the tragedy occurs right here. Both women actually love him, but neither of them can be happy. In one of the novel's most tense scenes, Aglaya and Nastasya confront each other. The room is silent, but their words are sharp as a knife. Aglaya tries to belittle Nastasya. Nastasya, in turn, attacks by humiliating her, and Myshkin is caught in the middle. Here, Dostoevsky reveals Myshkin's biggest problem. He tries to understand everyone, but he can't choose a side. And sometimes excessive compassion turns into indecision. While Myshkin wants to avoid hurting people, everyone gets hurt even more. Then the getting way approaches. Myshkin and Nastasya are going to get married. But everyone in the novel feels that this is wrong, because this marriage is not love. But one person cannot carry another person with only compassion. The wedding day, Nastasya suddenly looks at Myshkin. There is fear on her face, because for the first time, he has truly come close to peace. And that's exactly why she decides to run away again. Because for some people, happiness is unusually frightening. And then he goes to Rogozhin in front of everyone. Myshkin is stunned, but he follows them, because he now feels that everything is heading towards disaster. And finally, the inevitable happens. Parfyon Rogozhin, he kills Nastasya. But Dostoevsky doesn't describe this scene with dramatic shouts. He describes it with silence. That's why it's even more terrifying. When Myshkin arrives at Rogozhin's house, everything is strangely calm. The curtains are closed. The air is heavy. Rogozhin's face is pale. And then Myshkin understands the truth. Nastasya is dead. The final chapter of the novel is almost like a nightmare. Two men sit beside a corpse. Throughout the night, sometimes they talk, sometimes they are completely silent, and they no longer seem like enemies, because both are crushed under the same thing, the darkness of the human soul. Rogozhin is broken. This is the end of his obsession. He has destroyed what he loved, because love that tries to control ultimately kills love. But the most tragic ending is Myshkin's, because his soul can no longer bear his burden. Towards morning, his mind begins to disintegrate. He becomes detached from reality. He falls silent. He falls back into his old illness, as if the world has slowly consumed his innocence. And Dostoevsky does not end the novel happily, because his aim is not to give hope. He wants to show the human soul, with all its contradictions, with all its darkness. And only this question remains. If a truly good person came into this world, would you protect him, or would we first use him, then break him, then finally leave him alone? Perhaps that was the real tragedy of the idiot. If this video stayed with you somewhere, if even a single sentence made you stop and think, if it made you feel that you are not alone. To keep these kinds of videos coming, liking the video, leaving your thoughts in the comments, and sharing it is enough for us to continue this journey together. If you don't want to miss these moments of confrontation, subscribe, because this place is for those who can't run away from themselves. If you are here, it means we are asking the same questions. You can also follow me on my social media accounts. Take very good care of yourself. See you.